Day 42 of Daddy in Dubai. In fact, it's your digital daddy, right? Because this one, this version of me that's making life remarkable is the digital version of your daddy. And look, today is Sunday, a day devoted to my son. Or if you don't have a son, you can devote it to the sun, the thing that gets up every day. And you know what? That actually relates to what I'm going to talk about today, Sunshine, because every day that you wake up, okay, and I learned this many years ago off my good friend Kalpesh, right? Every day is a reset, right? What do I mean by that? That means no matter what's happened yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before and the day before, whether it's been successful or not successful, when you wake up, it's a fresh start. It's a fresh day. It's a fresh new opportunity. And for some people, they work Monday to Friday, and then they become themselves on Saturday, Sunday. Fortunately, I don't have to do that. I am 100% myself. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every single day, I'm me. And I guess I've been like that for a long time. I think one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, um, and it might sound controversial, right? When I was 17, and you can ask your granddad this, right? Daddy wasn't a good guy. Okay, he wasn't the perfect son. I didn't follow the rules. I didn't, I was a little bit naughty, you could say. And as a result, at the age of 17, I had to go and live with um, Cameron's grandma, right? In London. She said, send him to me. So I went. And whilst I was there, I applied for a job in a place called DHL where she worked. And the idea was Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, I would work in the warehouse and that will keep me out of trouble. Anyway, what I want you to understand is when I lived in Preston, your granddad, he's a living legend, right? He's a community leader. He was the first Indian to become a magistrate in Preston. He got an MBE off the Queen. He became the Deputy Lieutenant of Lancashire. Um, there are many accolades that your granddad has, right? And based on being the president's son, I was not the ideal son. I didn't follow the rules. I did whatever I wanted to do. And as a result, he wasn't happy with me, right? And I'm not telling you to do the same thing, okay? I'm just saying that whatever happens in life every single day, you have to find the goodness in it. Because if you look for the bad stuff, it's available every single day, all the time. The brown stuff, the things that are not nice, if you look throughout history, they've always been there. And as you move on through life, they're always going to be available, right? If you look at school, there's going to be people that are not nice, right? It's always available. But what happened to me when I got to London? Because nobody knew who my dad was. In Preston, I was the president's son. So you could say Dada is famous, right? Everyone knows your granddad. When I took you to meet Uncle Ronnie, what did he say to you? I said, listen, this guy, Uncle Ronnie, if I'm not around, will always be there for you because you're my son. And Uncle Ronnie's an absolute legend. And remember what he said? He said, Jaden, when I need advice, do you know who I go to? Remember what he said? He said, I go to your granddad. Okay. So my dad, your granddad, is who Ronnie goes to when he needs advice and guidance. So understand that your granddad, Mr. Ishwa Taylor, JP, MBE, DL, whatever, all of those accolades, he's available for you, available to you, and you've got his number, right? So if ever you want to speak to him, he's available. So imagine this, right? As the president's son, when I was 17, I was that naughty, I got sent to London. And the one thing that happened when I was in Preston, whatever naughty thing I did, somebody would tell my dad because everyone knew Dada, right? No matter where I was in Preston, somebody ended up telling my dad what I was doing. Now, when I got to London, guess who knew Dada? Nobody. Nobody knew I was the president's son. And because nobody knew I was the president's son, I was free, free from judgment, free to be whoever I wanted to be. And it was at that point when I got a job as a apprentice hairdresser in an absolutely legendary shop and met a legendary individual by the name of Mario. And Mario was my kind of guidance whilst I was in London in those early days. And he taught me how to be a hairdresser. But no, he didn't just teach me how to cut hair. He taught me how to cut hair in a way that will make me super, super good at my job. And I was. There are many people that say Dizzy is a legend, right? And look, thankfully, as your daddy, as your digital daddy right now, the dreams and the ideas that I had when I was young, getting to the grand old age of 5.0, I managed to make all of those dreams come true. And I've said this to you before, right? How many people do you know that are over 50? Ask them. And if you're watching this and you're over 50, I'm asking you, right? What did you visualize that you would love to do when you get older? Now, look, what I did when I got to the age of 50. I always said that this is not a birthday, okay? This is it's a milestone, right? Because you've been on the planet for 50 years, of which 0 to 20 is your education and your learning. And the question is, what did you learn? And it's not about what you earned, but what did you learn and how did you interact with that? Okay. Now, growing up, I was so lucky to meet the best people I've ever met in my whole life, right? And yesterday's video was an example of what happened to me. Okay. So the gentleman that got blessed with a haircut yesterday, Mr. Hadi, is a taxi supervisor at where I live, and he's only 20 years old. Can you believe it? So when he told me he was 20, I was like, wow, I remember being 20. And it was epic, right? I have had one of the best lives when I look back at what I did in my life. I did everything I dreamt of doing. I had the best adventures. Um, I've had the best journey I could have ever imagined. I've done so many things that most people will never even believe. And often when I speak to people, they say, Dizzy, you never did that. I'm like, yeah, I did. I did. I've done so many things. And I remember, what was his name now? There was a gentleman. forgotten his name now, but I can see his face. And he's what you call a hippie. I don't know if you know what a hippie is, but they're into spiritual things and airy fairy, all them hugging trees and all those they're like nature. They're not focused on money. They want everyone to live happily ever after and all of those things. So I met this guy and I remember him saying to me, Dizzy, when you get older and you have children, make sure you don't say, I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to do that. And all these things that I really, 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 really wanted to do, I never got a chance to do them. You'd rather say to your son or daughter, obviously in this case, his son, what would you rather say? I did this, it didn't work out. Then I did this and I really enjoyed it. Then I did this and I did this and I did this. Because as a human being, I've lived so many lives, lived in different countries. I'm now broadcasting as your digital daddy from Dubai, day 42. And look, if you're watching this and you got this far, make sure you like, subscribe, get the notifications, all of that kind of stuff. That's what you YouTube people do, right? Subscribe, like it. So look, as a result of doing so many things, I'm able to tell you stories, right? And look, the thing is, all the stories that I've not had the chance to tell you as you've grown up, I've told you a few, but this is my opportunity every single day. And it is the highlight of my day. I'm super excited. Every day I get to share some of my journey, some of my journey here in Dubai. And then the other part is the story, the journey of my life. Because once my physical form has gone, what's left, right? You know this already, right? You've seen people come and go. And I remember there was a funeral, right? And somebody said to you, oh, we're going to go and see this person. And you said, they're not there. It's just their body, right? So we are given this body in the shape of a human being. And we're born alone, you die alone. And in between, you have people, right? You'll have people like your mummy, your daddy. And I said this to your mum many, many years ago when we first met. I said to her, did you know you choose your parents before you're born? And she laughed at me. She goes, what kind of nonsense are you talking? And I'm not sure if she agrees with me now, but as you know, your mother and I have got different opinions, and that's quite fine. Yeah. I know that your mum's opinion helps me to be grounded, to be more balanced, to be more organized, to be more cautious. All of these things, your mum has helped me already, right? I am a better person thanks to your mum. And if you imagine the soul, right? So right now, oh, it's getting juicy now. That right now, and this is a conversation I had with Dada, right? Like you're looking into stuff like the Big Bang or what happened before, black holes, and all of these things, right? The reality is we are living on a rock called the Earth that's spinning around a star called the Sun. And there are 8 planets. There used to be 9. Pluto was a planet when I was younger, but now it's not a planet. And this rock called Earth is spinning around the Sun. And then there's a galaxy, and there's millions and millions of galaxies, right? So if you look at our position right now as an individual, we are a little speck on a rock that's spinning at five, I don't know the speed of it, but we're spinning round and round on a rock, going round the sun. Okay. That's pretty remarkable stuff, right? And people don't often think about that. How is it possible that we are on this rock now? The John DeMartini explained to me how what the soul, right? So I learned this at an early age through the Krishna consciousness movement, thanks to your dada. And the Monday that we go to, we got to go and spend weekends with the Hare Krishna guys, and they were teaching us about the soul. Because when somebody passes and they die, the body remains, right? But they're gone, which means there's something in the body that has disappeared because the body's still there. Remember, I said to you, we're not the body, we're not the mind. We've been given this body to use, and it's up to us how we use it. It's up to us how we understand it. And from my understanding, the soul stands for the spirit of unconditional love. Okay. So this soul that is within this body, the one that's communicating with you, the digital daddy, the idea, once you understand that you are not the body, you're not the mind, you're a soul that's within the body, then what happens? There's a different level of understanding. And when I discovered all this information at a very young age, I used to question Dada, I used to question all these people and start talking on a level to people thinking they would understand. Like right now, if you went back to school and started talking about the black hole and quantum physics, right? People they'll get lost. They'll say, "You've gone crazy, Jaden." And this used to happen to me. People used to say to me, I think you've gone crazy, mate." Ba and Dada used to say, "This, Diren, you've gone crazy. Something's gone wrong with you." However, sometimes when you start explaining things to people and you get excited and they don't understand, it makes you feel like, oh my God, I've just used all that energy to speak to you for no reason. So I came up with a statement or a question to see which you relate to the most. And if you're watching this and you're not my son, tell me which one of these two you relate to the most. Okay? Are you ready? Are you a spiritual being having a physical experience? That's one. Or are you a physical being having spiritual experience? Did I say that right? Are you a spiritual being, which is a soul, having a physical experience, right? So you're coming down to earth and experiencing the physical life. Or do you feel like a physical being that's having a spiritual experience? Now, there's two ways of looking at it, right? You may say that you feel like a spiritual being having a physical experience, but you may not be acting that way. Okay, now what do I mean by that? If you are a spiritual being having a physical experience, then this body and all this kind of stuff, it won't matter to you. If someone criticizes you, if somebody criticizes your physical being, if somebody criticizes your mum, your dad, and you take it personal, you are acting like a physical being. Do you understand? You may say you're a spiritual being. So many people I know, I'm spiritual, I believe in God, BS. You don't act like it. Okay, so if you know that you are a soul, I'll give you an example. If you think the physical world that we live in is real and this is what we're here to do, you align more with being a physical being than a spiritual being. Okay. If you know that you are a spiritual being, then you know that your parents, your grandparents, the people you connect with, you're connecting with souls. Okay. There's a reason why my company is called audacious associates consciously connecting because I want to speak to your soul right now. What does your soul say right now? I'm connecting with your soul. They say can see your soul through your eyes, right? So right now I'm talking to you. What does your soul say? The spirit of unconditional love. Somebody once said to me, "Oh yeah, my parents love me unconditionally." Yeah, until you marry the wrong race, until you marry the wrong color, and then the conditions turn up, right? So I think that's it for today, Sunshine. I know you're in London. It was a great pleasure to have a brief moment whilst you and your mum drove to London yesterday. Unfortunately, my meeting went on later, and then you were probably going to be in the theatre. And then I had to break my fast and eat my food. And I met a absolute legend. You haven't met a gentleman by the name of Tom Preston, but Tom Preston is somebody I met in South Africa probably 20 years ago. And imagine this, 20 years later, I'm still in touch with Tom, the legend, my soul brother from South Africa. But I met another Tom Preston. This one lives in Dubai, and he is equally as special as the other Tom. So right now, I'm privileged enough to know two, two Tom Prestons. Imagine that, Tom Preston and Tom Preston, and they're both remarkable individuals. Make life remarkable. They are remarkable individuals that mean a lot to me, and I'm really grateful for both of you, Tom Prestons, to be in my life. And the way the universe is orchestrating these people, I didn't realize when I met Tom Preston yesterday what impact he's going to have in my future and where he's required. So remember, every morning you wake up, it's a reset button, right? Start afresh. Whatever happened yesterday, it doesn't matter. If you had a bad day, doesn't matter. Today's a fresh day. You woke up, and based on the fact that you woke up, remember, if you woke up today and you're watching this, 1 million people around this planet we call Earth will go to sleep this week, will go to sleep and not wake up. So if you woke up today, be grateful. Be grateful you woke up. Be grateful you got an opportunity to serve your purpose. Right now, if you don't know why you were here, it's time for introspection. Message me, right? I can give you a couple of questions that can help you find your way. But realistically, you know why you're here. Yeah, look inside. Look inside yourself because your inner world is a direct reflection of your outer world. So what's going on outside in the world is directly reflected on what's going on inside here and inside here. So if you are not getting what you want, get a checkup from the neck up. Love you to the moon and back, sunshine. This is your digital daddy from Dubai, sharing day 42 of Daddy in Dubai.